What's up, gamers, and today you want to know the best build for Yanagi, the Librarian of ZZZ, though she likes Sun Tzu's The Art of War more than the actual disk drives itself, and she also prefers a lever whip and a chain over her W engine. Anyways, gamers, today we have to go over the best build for Yanagi because I think that she has multiple different builds that she can run, because I don't think she really has like a best in slot in game right now, which is actually very interesting for the future of her character. But we're going to talk about all that in today's video. But let's go ahead and first start off with a kit breakdown on how you should really be playing her, because while I don't have access to the private test server, Zenless 0, please, we can still get a pretty good grasp on what she does from the live stream and other sources of information, surely, right? So guys, her skill move, what this is going to be doing is allowing her to change stances. Every time you hit the skill move, she changes from the blue stance to a orange stance, or whatever the color is. I'm colorblind, I can't really tell, but she changes to each one of these stances, and each of these stances offer you a certain buff. And if you're timing the skill correctly, you can actually have an infinite uptime on both of the buffs this provides just by swapping back and forth between the different stances here. Another big thing this skill seems like it'll do, guys, is it'll allow you to actually start from the third hit of your combo instead of the first hit of your combo, which makes your combos a bit faster into getting that disorder off on the enemy, right? And one really big thing that she does is something called polarity disorder, which seems like if you have her on a full team of like just all electric units, you can take a certain percentage of the original disorder effect that you would normally do and then apply that to the enemy, right? So it doesn't matter necessarily what type of character you have on the team, right? Realistically, you want different like typings of characters or different typing anomaly characters on the team, like to help build that up, aka someone like Burnice that's putting constant fire damage on the enemy, so you're able to proc that disorder off on the enemy, so you're getting big bukus amounts of damage, and then you're also getting that polarity debuff on that as well, so you're getting two types of disorder off. But realistically, her kit is built so she is still able to be ran in full mono electric type teams too, and that's also kind of what her ultimate's going to be doing, guys. It's also going to be launching off this polarity disorder on the enemy too, but that kind of leads us into what her additional ability does, and her additional ability does call for having someone of the same typing with either electricity or someone that also is an anomaly class character. And what this additional ability is going to be doing, guys, whenever you're using that EX skill to switch your stances up and then you use a basic attack immediately after, you're increasing her anomaly buildup rate depending on how many times you do this, right? So if you're timing this up properly, getting the buff from both stances, you're also getting additional anomaly buildup rate as well, which does inherently help out with the disorder you're going to be doing on the enemy. But I do think this can run you into some issues, which we'll talk about in the team section or build section a little bit later in the video. But overall, I do think this is going to be a net positive for the character. And then her core passive, it really didn't talk much about it, so let's just assume that it gives you a damage buff in some way, shape, or form to her kit, whether that be electric damage or whether that be the disorder that she does, right? Let's just assume that it's going to be doing something like that. So realistically, from this kit breakdown, how you want to be playing Yanagi, guys, it's actually sort of a main DPS. She wants to be on the field most of the time, right? And then it kind of wants you to have someone in the back like a sub DPS, either that being a Grace, whether that be Arena, whether that be someone like a Burnice, right? We'll talk more about teams and structures a little bit later in the video, but realistically, that's how she wants to be played, right? You want someone else on the team to be putting like some type of anomaly on the character while she's off the field, and then when she comes on the field and is doing her main DPS stuff, you're building up that electric anomaly really quick, and then you're proccing her anomaly debuffs off on the enemy. What should we, is it a debuff? Let me know in the comment section down below. I don't know if it's necessarily classified as a debuff. Is it just a proc? I don't know, man. But that's kind of like the kit breakdown and how to play her out of the way now. So let's go ahead and get into her whip and chain. If only she would do that to me. But we're talking about her W engines, guys. What are her best W engines that you can run? And she has a lot of free-to-play options, actually. First, let's go ahead and start off with her best in slot is, guys. Obviously, her best in slot W engine is going to be her signature W engine. This is going to be hands down the best in slot W engine that you could run for. Another good option you can run here would be the Fusion Compiler. If you did get that 5-star W engine just from doing pulls or something like that, that's another viable option you can use there. Let's hop into the third best in slot option, which is actually going to be the BP W engine. You guys know what I'm talking about, the one with the big smacking Kylie Jenner lips, because it'll be giving you a guaranteed anomaly proficiency increase, which she needs a lot of, because her disorder might just scale off of her anomaly proficiency here. So you definitely want to be getting as much anomaly proficiency as possible on her, and this does allow you to do that just off rip. And then with her being a main DPS, it plays into that too, because this allows you to get more damage off with your on-field anomaly type characters while you're proccing anomalies off. It's going to be increasing her attack and the damage that you're doing on the target as well. So overall, I do think this is the third best in slot W engine you can have. Now let's go ahead and talk about some of the free-to-play options. That's either going to be the Rainforest one with the chomp chomp mouth, or it's going to be the torn up teddy bear Weeping Gemini. Now personally, I think the Weeping Gemini is better, even though it does give an attack percentage increase on the base stat. Passive is what really matters here, guys, because at S5, for every single anomaly that you inflict on the enemy, you'll be getting an increased anomaly proficiency by 48. This can stack up to 4 times, which equals out to 192 extra anomaly proficiency and max stat. Now this does reset whenever you either stun the enemy or kill the enemy, right? So if you don't necessarily run breakers on the team, you can actually get this up and keep this up for a good amount of time. And even when the enemy is broken, you could probably maybe get at least 2 stacks here, which would be all in all more than what the Rainforest can offer, but you do need at least 2 stacks of this up to actually get that buff off. And now for bigger enemies, this is also going to be very effective too, because inherently it does take longer to break those enemies anyway. So I do think the 4th best in slot, best free-to-play option you can run is going to be Weeping Gemini. So go ahead and grab those now if you don't have it already. I do think that is going to be a great pickup for your account. Now, that's really all that I have to say about W engine, right? The Rainforest can work on her. There's maybe one of the B rank ones that you could use on her too, but don't really recommend those all too much. Now what I want to talk about, guys, is something that you need to listen to is the teams. What teams can she be run on, right? Because I think a lot of people go into her thinking, oh, I can only run one team on her, and that's the team with Burnice because she works off a disorder, right? As we mentioned in the kit breakdown before, guys, she has something in her kit which is polarity disorder, meaning you can run her on teams of the same type. Though the disorder you do there does have reduced damage. That is something very big to be known there, right? So you're not going to be getting out as big damage numbers as if you're running on a team with Burnice or something like that. But as we're talking about teams here, we just mentioned a couple characters here, right? Obviously Burnice sub DPS. She puts fire on the enemy while she's off field, which is going to be really good for getting those disorder buffs off because you're building up that fire meter and you're building up that shock meter as well, with obviously with Yanagi being your main DPS. Other characters you can run here, someone like a Caesar King. Caesar King gives you an inherent attack buff, which is going to be helping your anomaly anyways. She's giving you a shield so you're not taking much damage, and on top of this, she's also helping up in the drive or the build up of physical as well, though how little that might be, because usually you're going to be having Yanagi on the field most of the time anyways. How much time your Caesar King will be on the field, who fucking knows, right? Another really good teammate you can use, someone like Rina. Rina is going to be increasing pin ratio, which overall increases the anomaly damage you're doing. On top of that, though, is going to be increasing the amount of time the enemy is shocked, so you could technically run her on the team, increase the amount of time the anomaly is shocked. It actually could help out a Burnice team in a way, because one of the main problems I see with this team is Yanagi building up electricity or electric attack too fast, and then your shock anomaly proc goes away before the burn actually goes through. So with extending the shock anomaly proc, that means you could technically be having an easier time getting the disorder proc off more often. That's how I kind of see it. Now obviously testing is going to have to be done for this to see how this actually works, but that is one problem that I see you could run into. So I think Rina could be actually a pretty good teammate for Yanagi here. Other teammates that can be run, Grace, sub DPS, helps with just getting shock up. You just switch in, throw little grenades out, get the debuff for that, and then you switch back to Yanagi. After switching back to Yanagi, you're obviously going to get the anomaly proc off with her, and then also the polarity disorder proc you're getting off as well. But these are the main teammates I can see her being ran with. There's obviously maybe some other more niche teams you can run with her too, and then I'm sure like someone like Seth could work for the increase in anomaly proficiency. Like I'm sure there's other characters that could work here, but these are the ones that come to my head right now that could work with her. So just keep that in mind when you're building your teams. I do think all of these characters will work pretty hand in hand with her. As far as what the best team for her is, it's probably going to be a team with like Caesar King, Burnice, and then her. Even I think another team could work. Your damage probably would drop with this team, but I think you would be more efficient in getting those disorder procs off on the enemy if it is an issue of keeping shock on the enemy. Would be Rina, Burnice, and then also Yanagi as well. I think that could be a very solid team you can run as well. But with that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about the moment you've been waiting for, the moment where I scam you and tell you to subscribe to my channel. Guys, are you ready for Yanagi? Maybe Yanagi's already out and you're watching this video, okay? Please hit that subscribe button, guys. Like, a lot of work goes into these videos, and I would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button right now so we can grow the channel and do more giveaways for characters in the future. Anyways, guys, I just want to tell you to subscribe. Let's go ahead and talk about those best disk drives and best disk drive stats now. I can't talk. So gamers, I have seen a lot of people talk about a lot of different builds for Yanagi here, right? In terms of like these sets you could run, or 4-piece sets you could run, right? And she really has no perfect set. Now the set that I recommend today is what I think to be her best 4-piece slot is going to be the 4-piece Freedom Blues. And what Freedom Blues is going to be doing, guys, is increasing your anomaly proficiency by 30, and whenever your EX special attack is going to be hitting the enemy, it's going to be reducing the target's anomaly build-up res by 20% for 8 seconds. And while I do think that the 4-piece set of this could be probably problematic. Let me tell you why I don't think that the Chaos Jazz is the best in slot set for her, because first of all, the 4-piece Chaos Jazz set, while it does give you a 15% increase to your electric damage, it really incentivizes Yanagi to be off the field, and how I see her is that she's going to be on the field most of the time, right? So yes, while the electric damage increase is nice here by 15%, you're just kind of eliminating the whole part of that passive there. The only time you're really going to be getting that increased attack buff is whenever you're doing a quick assist onto the field, or you're using her EX special attack and then switching off of her or something like that. So I really don't see this as being that beneficial, because you're eliminating that whole part of the passive. Whereas the Freedom Blue set at a 4-piece, well, I think you might run into issues with it with building up the electric anomaly too fast, and maybe Burnice cannot keep up with that in terms of like the proccing off. I think if you were to run someone like Arena on the team, you could maybe mitigate that some. Overall, I don't think either of these sets are the best 4-piece sets for her that you could possibly have, because both of them don't really work perfectly with her. So I think there's going to be a set in the future that really helps out with the disorder that you're doing on the enemy. But let me go ahead and talk about the 2-piece sets that you could also run on her too. You could run a 2-piece Chaos Jazz if you decide to run Freedom Blues, right? You could run a 2-piece Swing Jazz, which gives you increased energy regen buildup. You could run a 2-piece of the Thunder Metal, which gives you a 10% increase to electric damage. Hell, if we go back to even 4 pieces here, I think you could run a 4-piece Thunder Metal if you can time it up correctly and make sure that she's doing all the damage when the enemy is shocked. I think that could be beneficial to run there, but I think timing is going to be very, very necessary for you to actually hit that off. But like I said, at the end of the day, I do prefer the 4-piece Freedom Blues over really any other 4-piece set. Another alternative I would like to recommend is a 2-2-2, because this game does offer you 2-piece sets that you can run basically anything, right? So you can basically run a 2-piece Freedom Blues with a 2-piece Chaos Jazz with a 2-piece Swing Jazz. That's going to be giving you increased energy regen and then plus 60 to your anomaly proficiency, which could help you out really good too. And I would recommend running this set like if you have really good substats on just 2 sets of pieces together, right? So if you have good substats or main stats for a lot of these 2-piece sets, just combine those together. I think those will work out better for you at the end of the day versus going for a 4-piece set that doesn't have as good main stats or as good substats, right? But now I want to talk about those stats. Those stats you're going to be wanting to run on your Yanagi, right guys? On the 4-piece is going to be anomaly proficiency, guys. This is what's going to be kind of driving her whole kit here. On the 5-piece is going to be electric damage percentage, attack percentage, or pin ratio, whichever one you get. Electric damage is going to be the best. And number 6, guys, is going to be anomaly mastery. This is the only time you can get anomaly mastery in your kit off this final main stat here. So I would recommend getting anomaly mastery in that final 6 slot. Now, as far as the substats go, I think it should be self-explanatory what you run here. Obviously, the number 1 stat you aim for, anomaly proficiency. I would be aiming for anomaly proficiency on every single piece, obviously other than your main stat anomaly proficiency piece that you have, because you can't get that there. But for every other piece, I definitely would be recommending to get anomaly proficiency, because this is what's going to be driving the majority of the damage of her kit. Outside of that though, I would recommend aiming for attack percentage, flat attack, pin ratio, maybe crit rate, crit damage, just to get some crits off with her. You don't need that at all, by the way. Just want to put that out there. That is a stat that could be run on her, though I do think it'll be giving you diminishing returns. I wouldn't put a focus on it. Definitely focus on getting anomaly proficiency and attack percentage. Those are the main 2 things that I recommend focusing on. Anyways, gamers, what do you think of Yanagi? Have you pulled her already? Or are you planning on pulling her if you're watching this video before she actually releases? Let me know in the comment section down below. Are you excited for her? Do you think she's goated with the absolute sauce? Do you think she's going to be great for the future? Let me know all these things in the comment section down below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button, gamers. Anyways, that's going to do it for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed and learned something today, and maybe after this video, Yanagi will tie me up with her chain and leather whip. Only God can hope. Anyways, guys, see you later. Bye!